It's my honor to present the Chairman's Citation Jaquiss of Willamette Week, referred to by the Portland Monthly as the scariest man in khakis you'll ever meet. Nigel has repeatedly exposed corruption in Oregon politics. He has demonstrated that in this digital world, we must still return to the craft of journalism to hold our institutions, our politicians, and our society accountable. Nigel and his editors are an inspiration to all of us because they continually show that it is not the medium in which we publish, it's the facts uncovered by reporting and reporting and reporting some more until the truth sees daylight. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce you to Mr. Nigel Jaquiss.
Thank you very much, Heather, and thanks to the NPF for having me here. I'm actually chasing sheriff back home in Multnomah County. This is the county that Portland is in Oregon, so I'm glad for a couple of days off. It's really an honor to be here and humbling given the extraordinary quality of journalists that are on this panel tonight and have received this award in the past. I'm not really sure that I fit in. And when I look at the organizations that have been singled out for honors by the NPF in the past, the New York Times, the Washington Post, Bloomberg, Politico, NPR tonight, we're talking about organizations that have large newsrooms of national and international scope. That's not Willamette Week, the all-weekly that I work for in Portland. There we have just 3 news reporters, and our focus is not always hard news. About a decade ago, I wrote a series of stories about the man who was then the most powerful man in Oregon. He'd been mayor of Portland, governor of Oregon, Jimmy Carter's transportation secretary, and then at that time he was sort of just a fixer, a power broker. And I wrote a story about his rape of a 13-year-old girl when he was mayor of Portland in the 1970s. He raped her repeatedly over a period of years. It took me a long time to get that story. It was very difficult to get, and I was proud when we finally put it on the cover. The very next week, the cover of Willamette Week, Brazilian bikini waxing. I'm not kidding. So we are not the Washington Post. We're not the New York Times. What we are is a very small paper that has a real focus on investigative reporting. The paper's been owned for more than 30 years by 2 guys. If they wanted to make money, they would have done almost anything else with their lives, but they're really dedicated to journalism and dedicated to making Oregon a better place. Richard Meeker and Mark Sussman. They bet the paper on me with the story about Neil Goldschmidt. He could have shut us down in a heartbeat if we'd gotten even a single fact in that story wrong. He bet the paper, those 2 guys bet the paper again last year. I did a series of stories starting in 2014, extending actually to now, on the guy who was probably the most popular politician in Oregon, the longest serving governor in the state's history, John Kitzhaber. Those stories forced him to resign a year ago this week, in fact, a year ago tomorrow. And that's a small weekly that has regularly taken on people of power. So it'd be nice if we were able to work with the resources of a Jeff Bezos, of a Michael Bloomberg, or even the Sulzberger family. But what I've learned is that if the people that you work for really believe in investigative reporting, you don't need big money and lots of resources to break big stories. What you need is what I've been lucky to experience for the past 18 years. That's the support of bosses and colleagues who believe that public records and shoe leather reporting and polite but persistent, sometimes very persistent questioning are still the foundations of good journalism. Thank you.